Welcome everyone back to Sweet Home 3D, and in this video we are going to continue with the Master Bedroom series. So before we get into the grunt of the video here, we just wanted to deal with this kind of dead space between, or I should say above the bookcase. So you've got the fireplace, the bookcase up top, and then nothing. So we kind of want to fill that in. So we're going to add a kind of like a filler panel, if you will. So we're going to make it marble. It's going to look just like the fireplace, but it's just going to be there, so it's going to make everything kind of even Steven there, if you will. So then we will get into building our overhead facade. Went to try and research the correct terminology. Couldn't really find the proper terminology, but has anyone noticed each time we do a video the lampshade is a different texture? How about that? Anyway, let's say we go ahead and march into the video. So right there it is. We have our marble filler piece there, and it just evens things out. It makes a better appearance. We could stand to up the height a little bit. It's not bad. We just may leave it. Who knows? But we'll get back to that. So today, again, we're going to work on building ourselves an overhead facade. It's going to go from the dresser all the way over to the end of the fireplace, around the corner where the TV is. So that'll just fancy things up, because to me it's just blah. Like, there's nothing going on up there. It seems like there needs to be something on up there. Rather we add a cornice or something like that up top. Again, we're going to go well above that, and we're going to add this overhead facade. So I'm going to open my wall tool, and let's begin drawing around here. It's going to be really easy. We're just going to trace the walls that are already there. It's like a coloring book, except we're actually drawing the lines instead of coloring in them. So that's a good way to think about it. This wall right here is where we're going to have a full-length mirror, which is actually in. At the time of the video here, that mirror is actually already in. We're a little bit behind. This was a daunting project. It reminds me of the dining room. It just went on and on and on. There was just so much. We're kind of a stickler for details. That makes for a better presentation. And so, yeah, it takes a while. It does. But it looks nice at the end. Anyway, there's our wall. We're good to go. So what we're going to do is take this out back, and then we'll pick everything up on the other side. So we'll meet you folks there. All right, so here is our outline. All right, so that's our step one. And then our step two, we actually want to make a little room out of this. So that means we're going to open up our wall tool, and we're going to begin drawing. Now, just so kind of a word to the wise here, we like to save at each step of the way. So let's say we save once we finish drawing our wall, and then we save once we make a room here, and you just save along the way. It'd be nice to be able to do this in a real world. If you're building a countertop or something like that, and you go back and fix what may be broken. So, but here we have that luxury. So we'll save along the way. Anyway, I have a sneaky suspicion that wall is not connected. The one on the right hand corner there, upper right corner. So I'm just going to up arrow. I'm going to I want to increase the depth, and when you know it, yep, it is come disconnected. So it wasn't connected from the get-go. So there's a couple of ways to fix this. There's actually a gentleman, and I can't recall his name, but he has a phenomenal video on this very subject. So he illustrates two ways that you can actually reconnect your walls. One using the stock tool, the native tool that's already with Sweet Home. And then there's a actual plugin tool. You can simply download that from the Sweet Home website. Either one will work. The plugin tool works better for what we're doing because we don't have to redraw walls. The native tool, you have to redraw the walls, and not really into that. So Anyway, there is the step 2. We have now created a little room there, and I think we upped the depth, so I think we're good there. But in fixing that wall, as you can see there, it has pulled on the right hand side, and now it's not straight there. So we're going to use the graph table. We're just going to zoom in here. It will simply use the graph table to straighten that up. The nice thing is we don't have to go back to an old save to fix that. We just fix that right on the fly, and then we will go on to the next step, which is going to be making a room. So we just use I think it's Control Shift R, and that'll bring up our room tool, and that will allow us to create a room here. So let's back out a little bit here, and it's always a good idea to inspect. We just can't say it enough. Inspect along the way, because if we hadn't inspected the model here that we're working on, we would have missed that little what do you call it? We'll call it imperfection down there at the bottom. We would have missed that. So anyway, all our walls are connected. But look at that. There was a little double wall there. I don't know if you saw that. We encountered that too when we were working on a Victorian house. Has not seen the light of video yet, but eventually it will, hopefully. But we were trying to change. I don't want my Metro to show. No, we were trying to change the den around a little bit, change the dimensions, and we started noticing double walls. So I don't know why that's a thing. I don't know. We just delete them. We delete them when we see them. So anywho, let's move on. So we have the room here. That dialog box that just flashed up there, that allows us to change things in our room. So if we want hardwood floors, you can change textures, you can have solid colors, everything. Here we can see that the ceiling is floating. That's really not legit. It doesn't matter because it's going to go away. But the default height for the condo, the walls are 15 feet. The walls are 15 feet. Here it's only maybe like 10 feet, something like that, 10 to 12 feet. So that's why you see the ceiling is floating. But you can see here you can change a lot of things. Your floor, your ceilings, you can add baseboards, so on and so forth. So now we don't want the ceiling to show, so it's long gone. Just want to make sure this is correct. We're good there. And you can see you can make your floor shiny or have a matte color. Same with the ceilings. Again, we can add the baseboards, baseboard height, so on and so forth. So now we're good to go. We can move on to the next step. And believe it or not, we're actually going to take away the walls. Yep, all of them. We're going to go all the way around here, and we're going to delete every single wall. So if we go into the dialog box for your walls, before we begin to drill the walls, or before we begin to build the walls, you'll notice there in the dialog box there's actually a height between the floors. So you can set the height between the first, second floor, etc. This right here is that height. So there you go right there. That's about 1.5 feet, roughly. It looks a little taller than that, but that's about what it is. About 1.5 feet. We can change that anytime we want. So we're not stuck with that. It's not set in stone. But we're going to take this into, and we're just going to see what it looks like. So looks pretty good. All right, so there we go. Now we did make a little boo-boo here. We added the textures after we put this up, but we just wanted to see how it would look and if everything was okay. For the most part, everything looks fine. It is extended, or it should be extended out a little further on the right-hand side, so we can actually change that a little bit. We don't want to fool around with it too much because it's going to mess up the contour for everything else. But we can kind of, we can mess around with it and see if we can extend that out maybe another, 6 inches or so. So we'll see how that works out. But what we'll show you here, the texturing is a little funky. So as you can see there in the center, it's a little smeared or skewered. That doesn't look right. And then if we walk around to the right-hand side, you'll notice the same thing. But we found out by accident, because a lot of good things are always found out by accident, if we apply texture before we export our model, then once we re-import it, it will you'll have no issues with smearing. So we found that out by accident, and happy to report that. So there we go. So we're gonna go back out to the backyard here in our condo, and as you can see there, that is all we've applied texture. That is the primary wallpaper color for our master bedroom, and there is no smearing to report. So we're good there. All right, so the next thing we want to do, we're going to add ambient lights, and don't know if we're going to keep them or not, but for now we will add ambient lights. We're not going to show the the video of us doing light bulbs, because there were so many light bulbs. Anyway, but we're going to draw a wall around this, and it's maybe about 6 inches, 4 inches high. Though when we first draw the wall, it's a lot higher than that, but that doesn't matter. We're doing that for two reasons. One, we want the light to go just like one direction, and then the second reason, that this wall here will be the brace point for the ceiling, so that's where it's going to mount to. So that wall's a little high, but we'll straighten it out. It's all good. But so far so good. Everything looks great here. The nice thing about it, we elevated the wall, so that wall there is going to go through the facade, and then we made it a marble texture for it, which is the marble texture in the rest of the room, like the dresser, the TV stand, and it looks really nice. So if we didn't want that, we could simply elevate the walls. We'd have to export them and re-import them, and then elevate it a little higher so that wouldn't show. But we wanted it to show. Now this is a lousy render here, so I do like how the sun is coming through, but that is terrible. So, but again, we get to see kind of what it looks like in the rendered form. So we'll bring it. That was maybe like a 45-minute to an hour render. The next one here is going to be maybe an hour and a half, 3 hours, something like that. It looks way better. The ambient lights are shooting out a lot further than what we would like. It'd be nice to be able to change the yield in terms of lighting, but that out of the way, it looks really, really awesome. So with that is your overhead facade, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to wrap up the video here. If you did enjoy it, consider giving it a thumbs up, and consider subscribing if you're new, and clicking that notification bell next to the subscribe button. You'll be notified anytime we release videos just like this one. So with that, I want to thank everyone for hanging out with us as we build this overhead facade, for watching, and for visiting the home of virtual home creation. Signing off for now. Goodbye, everybody.